This is the one and only Mike Hartenbower. You guys are listening to Sit Down Marks podcast with DB, Primo, and AJ.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Come on in. Sit down. Episode number 142 of the Sit Down Mars podcast, man. We're excited. Thank you, everybody, for watching on Facebook and YouTube right now. And I want to thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those platforms out there. We got a good one today, Primo. How you doing, brother? You doing good?
I'm good, man. Glad to be back. Glad that it's episode 142 and glad about who we have on today.
Yeah, man. So let me give this guy the proper intro. Returning to the pod. He is a fan favorite, pod favorite. He's back to kick your ass, drink all your beer. So you know what to do. You got to stock all the ultras. Welcome back, Hartenbower. Welcome, brother. Good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. 142. When was the last time I was on?
Last time you were on, actually, glad you asked. We had to go back to the archives here, back before we had decent mics and back before we had an intro. Episode 45 and episode 40. So 2 years ago, almost to the date.
About 100 episodes back.
Right.
Hearing that intro, you know, I dropped the old Mike Hartenbower. I don't go by Mike anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, man. So it's been a minute, man. So yeah, we're still around, man. Thank you, first of all, in the beginning, because you're one of the first guys that we could get to, to talk into going on this pod. So first of all, you're gullible, I guess. You're a sucker, but thank you for being one. But man, yeah, we do appreciate it though, man. You were one of the first ones, and we're plugging away, man. And it's kind of awesome that it lands like somewhere around that 100, kind of area, you know what I mean? Because a lot's happened, in those 2 years since you've been on the pod, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's crazy. I mean, that wasn't planned. That wasn't, that wasn't a work at all. Like, that wasn't, so, but it's been a minute. But I wanted to let you guys know AJ is going to be joining us here a little bit later. So, let's get rolling, man. First of all, thanks for joining us tonight, man. Hope you're doing well. We're gonna catch everybody up of what's going on in the world of Hartenbower here lately. So, as we said, almost 100 episodes ago, and a few years ago since you've been on the pod. Obviously, I see you at independent wrestling shows and stuff, which is great. But last time we roughly talked to you, man, you were on the Big Arms, Big Paychecks tour, man. So that was so that was awesome. A lot has happened since. Dreamwave has returned since then, man. Which is wild. We're gonna talk about that. You're dealing with an injury. We're gonna jump to that here pretty soon. But pre-injury Hartenbower, how was your 2024 going, man? Were you feeling good about it? I mean, I kind of been dialing into to what's been going on, with Dreamwave with you in 2024. But outside of that, man, it's how was wrestling life before the injury?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that, and now it's kind of I'm jogging my memory a little bit. Dreamwave was not back the last time that you guys had me on.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, I specifically remember you asking me if we were going to see wrestling back in LaSalle in 2022.
Yeah.
And I gave some, stupid answer like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe."
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever it was. But wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Time flies.
Yeah, so
man.
I mean, Dreamwave's been back. My 2024, it was shaping up to be my busiest year yet. 2021, 2022 were pretty crazy. 2023 was what I thought. I'm like, it's not going to get any better than this.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2024 was, I mean, it's just been, I mean, from January through August, and then what I had scheduled for the later quarter of the year, the stuff I had to cancel was heartbreaking. The plans, at different promotions, the companies, the opponents, dream matches. Things were really, I don't know if it's just the universe. It's weird how things work, but
Yeah.
I think it's something that I'll look back on one day and be like, okay, it was the injury, of course happened, but overall, and I'm sure maybe I'll do, we're kind of reaching the end of the year here. Maybe I'll take a look back at January, February, March, each month and be like, okay, well, this was cool. This happened. That happened.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of, I was literally on WWE TV this year.
Right.
I don't even think about that anymore, but it's like
SmackDown,
cool.
right?
It's like, like that's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Just some of the matches at Dreamwave, the matches at AAW, just kind of traveling all over the place, being in the PWI 500 again. All of those things are really cool. But and I feel like that's something like a lot of wrestlers, you either don't have time to like live in the moment, or you live in the moment too much. I don't know.
Sure.
I guess kind of reflecting on it, it's been a good year, but obviously, still big arms, big paychecks, but it's, I got the one, but this other one is, I don't want to show. Yeah, I'm a little self-conscious with it, but I'm working on it, and
sure.
I had the surgery just about 3 months ago.
Yeah. So tell everybody what happened.
Yeah, so I tore my distal bicep tendon. So your bicep, you've got two heads, hence the bicep part of it. One attached, and I'm not a doctor, so there might be some. If somebody's listening, that's like, that's not true. Like, I just don't know what I'm talking about. But one of them attaches at the shoulder, and one of them attaches at the elbow. I tore the one that attaches at the elbow in a match in August. So they had to cut into me on my one tattoo that I have. Of course, is where the incision is, which is weird too. I don't know. There's some poetic something or other there, but so they had to go in and grab the bicep tendon and lasso it essentially to like a screw or like a button that they drilled into my forearm, something along those lines. So yeah, I've just been, I was in a splint for a couple weeks and then a brace, for just about 2 months, maybe like 6 weeks. I was cleared on that early. My physical therapy was going, it still is going, but it's going well.
Yeah.
But it's a process. Surgery.
Sure.
My first surgery. It's my first major injury, and I'm 12 and a half years into this.
Right.
And I've been going really hard for 4 years. So I don't know. I guess all things considered, could always be worse.
Sure. Yeah. You can always be serious. Okay. So this happened wrestling, correct?
Yeah, it happened in a match at AAW.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, your biggest injury to date. So it was funny because I think maybe the last couple of times we've talked to each other, me and you simultaneously were going through physical therapy. I didn't get any kind of surgery, but I had a back issue and I was going through physical therapy the first time. And so, we're kind of experiencing that stuff, and it's, all, for me, I guess let's talk, man to man here, for everybody to hear. But for me, physical therapy was an adjustment, man. It I ain't gonna say it made me feel old, but it kind of made me feel old. And I ain't gonna say that like, and like, it's a real perspective thing. 'Cause you see people in there, way off than us, brother. You know what I mean? And so I was just kind of like it did a lot for me, honestly. I was just like, wow, you know what I mean? Trust me, I was glad when it was over, but you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, how was your experience though?
A few notes on that. There's a physical therapy center in town that's like specifically for athletes. That their clientele is mostly going to be high school athletes, college athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to get the 60-year-old, woman who fell and broke her hip or something. That they're going to go to like a hospital's rehab center. So with where I had the surgery, and they have a physical therapy center essentially all under the same umbrella. So I ended up going there, and I mean, I'm seeing people that they're learning to walk again.
Yeah.
It's a lot of older clientele. So, and then I had a lot of nerve pain. So the first several weeks of therapy were just like getting to move my hand and my fingers. I mean, I couldn't even, I'm joking, but I'm not. Like I couldn't hold the beer for the first, 6-7 weeks after the surgery. But now I'm to that point where they're introducing some resistance stuff, and now it's getting. I think I've mentally prepared myself for it.
Yeah.
But physically, because I'm used to, I've lifted weights since I was 12 years old, and now I'm sitting here and like even like today, I was at the gym. I had physical therapy yesterday. I have it tomorrow, and then I'm back to going to the gym every day. But I'm sitting there at the gym today, and I have a 3-pound dumbbell in my hand, and I'm sitting there like moving my wrist with it, and doing some like lat raises and just to keep the shoulder going. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I get that like a little bit of self-conscious, like people are looking at me like, look at this guy over here, lifting 3 pounds. I'm like, and I'm sure no one cares. No one's even looking at me, but just in my head. So it's been it's been a process, physically, mentally, all of that. But I think I'm coming out on the other end of it here. We're getting there.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. Yeah, that's going to be my next question, man. Is like is adjusting to it, mentally, and this affects, I mean, we're talking about you being out as a wrestling, this affects everyday life, affects like being able to, like I said, hold a bottle, hold a bottle of ketchup, hold anything, open a car door, you know what I mean? Like it's it affects. Yeah, and everything work, and talk about work, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, so it seems a long road, at times, and I can see, but I was just kind of wanting to see your your physical therapy, experience, you know what I mean? I guess so, because I took a whole lot more from it in the end, after getting better, I was like, I went in there for my little, I think I went 8 sessions, and worked on my back, and then put me on these machines and stuff, you know what I mean? And just like I always walked away from there going, oh dear God, thank God I'm not like trying to walk or stuff.
Right. Yeah, just right. It can always be worse. I'm sitting there like,
I know, right? Yeah. All right. So so you ain't been able to do much, but you're getting to you do some other things with wrestling outside of wrestling, like you're getting to agent, and some, so let's talk about that before we get to it though. Hartenbower, I know you're not, you may not see what's going on in the stream right now, but there's there's a high demand going on for Nash to make his YouTube or podcast debut. So yeah, so if Nash is around in the next minute or so, or or if he's if he's close,
got time,
if he's got time, if he's in between
he
naps,
could not care less right now. Oh, hey, they're talking about you.
So everyone, if you didn't know, Nash is Hartenbower's cat, and so people are chatting about Nash in the chat here. So there was his debut. Everybody sees that he's napping quietly while Dad handles some podcast business. So that's funny stuff, man. But let's talk about agenting, man. Is that some cool stuff? Like you enjoy that? Kind of still keeping your mind, I guess, going with the business while you're out not working.
Yeah, it's nice to have my thumbprint, my fingerprints on different aspects of shows, and it's rewarding, and it feels good to know that, like, if I physically can't go, because eventually I'm not going to be able to physically go.
For sure.
Moneyball is one of my favorite movies, and there's that quote in there where they're like, everybody's told that they can't play the kids game anymore. For some of us it happens at 18, some of us it happens at 40, but for all of us it happens. And
sure.
I mean, if I would love to wrestle into my 50s, 60s. I would love to, but you don't know.
Right.
And, but to know that I can, give back, and because for the most part, it's a young person's game. So I mean,
always.
Specifically, I knew, like, I know I have a home at Dreamwave. I know I have a home at AAW.
Mm-hmm.
But like the first, going back to, when I had to contact over a dozen promoters, to cancel shows, which was exhausting. That was exhausting mentally.
Yeah.
Just tell 12 different people or more, whatever it was, like, hey, I'm injured. I'm having surgery. They told me this long,
Right. You had to relinquish a title, right? Didn't you?
I mean, I wasn't supposed to drive for 3 weeks, and they were going to actually have the surgery they moved the surgery up a day because I was like, oh, I got to drive to La Crosse, Wisconsin. They're like, you can't drive, especially, an hour after surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the next day anyway, but
sure.
I mean, all of that stuff is exhausting. And, but what I didn't think about was people that were still reaching out to me. Hey, are you available on such and such a date? And it's like, oh, I haven't, publicly said this yet, but, I'm having surgery in a couple days, and I'm going to be out for, such and such time. And one of the first people that was like, oh, well, would you still be interested in coming and helping out? Robert Anthony.
Yeah.
Running his show at the Forge in October.
Ego Pro.
Yeah, Ego Pro. And, he's like, I'm still going to pay you. And, hey, we like to gamble a little bit. So he's like, the after party's at the casino. We're still, come on, I want you there. And,
you're in.
He was very, that meant a lot to me, first of all. But, just to have, the talent come up to me and, asking me for advice and, just different stuff on their matches. And, so knowing that I'm, it's not just Dreamwave and it's not just AAW, it's just kind of everywhere. And, I've had some auxiliary roles. It's kind of funny. Like I'm still working like 2 or 3 shows a month, which a lot of guys don't work that. You know what I mean? I'm like,
off.
I'm like, huh? Like, I don't know. So I've still been around. I just love wrestling. I love everything about it, from, the business part of it. I love this. I love that we're sitting here talking about it on social media, and I just love all of it. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool that I've been able to do that. I'm chomping at the bit to get back to the, okay, now it's my time.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
And I'm going to be really crazy about that. I'm going to be really, I don't want to say the word selfish about it, but I'm probably going to be a little selfish about some of that. Cause I've had this time taken away. So.
Right. Well, nobody's going to be mad at that. I can tell you that. Nobody's going to care. All right. So, you've been at some shows, man. There's some rings that are set up. Have you ran the ropes or anything to see how it feels? Obviously, no, you haven't. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I got in the ring, so I did commentary at Zawa. I guess it would have been last month.
Zawa Fest. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah.
And I got in the ring. I think they had the cage match. And so I got in the ring, and I'm sitting there like, oh, man, I want to. But it's
Right.
like, it's not, like, I don't know. What if I run the ropes and they break? You know what I mean? Like the one time
Right.
that the ropes would break would be, it's like, so, no, I haven't done any of that. But I don't know if you never know, like when you post something on social media, like it's such a small world, and it's such a, if you don't have 1 million followers or something, maybe nobody sees it, or maybe if you have 1,000 followers, maybe one person sees it. It's just kind of weird how everything works. But my big thing has been sooner or later, and sooner or later I'm coming back.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Sooner or later I'm going to run the ropes. Sooner or later I'm going to be taking bumps, and sooner or later, it's sooner or later that music's going to hit, and sooner or later the bell's going to ring. Sooner or later I'm going to kick somebody's ass.
Right.
I mean,
There you go.
Kind of what it is. When that happens, I mean, I have it up here, but it would be, irresponsible of me to say, hey, this is, when I'm thinking, but
mindset's fucking takeover racing, right?
Yeah, it's like anything can happen between now and then. So it's like, well,
yeah, right.
Everybody will know when they know.
Sure. Well, first of all, man, let's talk about when you were in the ring, man, because you were fucking kicking ass. Because for congratulations, 2 straight years, man, you were ranked in the PWI 500, man. You were 411, I believe, in 2023, and then 2024. You can see I got the magazine right here. You were 445, man. So, man, like you've been at it. I think you said 12 and a half, man. That's gotta feel good, man. I mean, like if nothing else, that's in your pocket for the rest of your life, dude.
100%. I literally am sitting 2 feet away. Like I'm looking at it. I have both of those magazines in like comic book, like magnetic, like plastic cases.
Sure.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Some wrestlers will sit there and say, "That doesn't matter. It's a kayfabe list. It's just all made up numbers. It's who you know, or it's I don't know, maybe, but like I'll take the recognition." Do I think that there's people on that list that maybe don't belong, or maybe I'm better than so? I'm not going to sit there and look into it that much. That's I think when you like. Now it's like you're trying too hard, or you're looking into it the wrong way. The fact of the matter is that it's acknowledgement for 12 and a half years of hard work.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and their evaluation period goes from like, I believe it's like July to June or August, something like that. So it's like, okay, well, if I'd like to be in there again next year, I got a lot of work to do. And it's like, that gives me something to look, it's like you're not going to go into a match. You're not going to go into a show. You're not going to go into anything and be like, this is for the PWI 500. It's a culmination of a full year of work, and then having that work be recognized. It's super rewarding. So yeah, I'm proud of it. And it's something that, I mean, years down the road, I'm gonna be like, it's pretty cool,
Yeah, you should be. Congratulations. You got to sign my copy, by the way. I got to bring it with me next time I see it.
I actually just signed my first copy of that last weekend.
Did you? Yeah, I think I've seen you doing that, man. That's all. That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Really cool. Really cool. Really cool.
So do you get like an email or anything that says, "Hey, congratulations, Hartenbower, you've made," before the any kind of notifications? Well, I was just curious.
Social media, just people like whatever. But the way that I found out the last 2 years, I got a text from Wolf at like 8 a.m, and I'm usually not up at 8 a.m, so I'm like, I roll over looking at my phone at like 10:30, 11 o'clock. I'm like, and he's like, oh, he loves it too. He's probably gonna be mad at me but he gets all giddy about it, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool, and yeah, so he broke the news to me the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's cool.
My good buddy Stephen Wolf.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, because my dad was a PWI subscriber for ages, and then so like when he kind of stopped, I picked his not personal, but got my own in like the early 2000s, and I've been going through them ever since. So. And then, I'm always like, damn, man, it's like a spoiler because they have the digital copy now, and it comes out early before the people get them in their mailbox.
Right.
So I'm like, man, damn it. Like I want because I always get it out and I'm like looking through it, like who made it this year? Like look and see who it is, who's on the cover, all that stuff. And you usually already kind of know.
The one thing with that is like, now it's kind of cool. It's like, because now you have that like, oh man, now I know, okay, here it is. When's it going to be on the shelves? Because like I used to spend so much time in bookstores and in grocery stores. And I've talked about this before, but I'd go grocery shopping with my mom, and I'd be like, okay, well, you go buy all the groceries. I'm going to go look at magazines, and I would just sit there for what felt like hours. I'm sure my mom wasn't in the grocery store for hours, but I would just get lost in the magazines and. And I hope that, I don't know. I mean, it's cool for me now. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I got the last 2 years I bought the PWI 500 at a Barnes and Noble because you can't. They just don't have them everywhere now.
Right.
So I feel like when I was a kid, they had them everywhere. So I don't know if that's changed or if it was just coincidence, but
right. Yeah, I still get mine in the mail, but I'll tell you the sneaky places you can find them is do you have Myers up there?
No.
You know what I'm talking? Yeah, okay. It's kind of like a Walmart, a Target, kind of one of those places. They usually have them there for sure. CVS has them occasionally. I found them there before, but no, I love it, man. And like even like I just got the new one in the mail today. It's got Joe Henry on the front right there.
Awesome.
And even when I still get it, and this one's got the tag teams. It's got the tag team rankings in it, the 100 or whatever for the year. I still like get giddy, man. Like look through it, see what it is, who's in it, who they're talking about and stuff. And I just gifted Primo a subscription too, so he should probably be so
appreciate it again.
Yeah, you're welcome. We talked about you being on SmackDown, briefly talk about that experience, and because that was pretty cool. You got to be a security guard, correct?
And I know like that's another thing too, like I'm sure there's some people that are like they've done security a million times, like or it's like, well, you didn't get a match, or you didn't even get beat up by Brock Lesnar, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, like, I was on TV, I was on SmackDown, like, I have, that's another thing, like, I literally have my check from WWE, I have it, like, in a little, like, display case, like, I don't know, I made money from WWE, like, I think that's cool.
That's pretty sick.
It was crazy. I think I got a phone call at like 10 o'clock that morning, and they were like, hey, can you be here at noon?
And that quick,
yeah. And it's like, no, no, I can't be. And it was, promoters that had, I think they were called and, hey, do you have anybody that, whatever. And yeah, and which is, I mean, to me, like that means so much that they thought of me. Um, but they were like, okay, well, it's last minute, so get here when you can. And I think we got there at like 1 o'clock, and I didn't know. I wasn't expecting anything. I didn't know what to expect. Um, I knew it wasn't going to be like a physical um, spot, but I remember there was probably 15, 20 of us, and they had us get with Regal, and he was kind of scanning the room. And he's like, "You and you," and I was like, "I think he's talking to me." I'm looking around.
Yeah.
He's just pointing at me. Okay, yes. In my head, I'm not. I don't think I looked like that big of an idiot, but he was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have you do this." I was like, "Oh, awesome, thanks." Whatever. And it ended up being. I mean, it was a really cool spot. I mean, I didn't do anything, but I was on TV multiple times, and it's just good screen time. I mean, I see like, God, I've seen so many times. Um, you know, like Sean Logan, I see him doing security all the time, and I'm like,
Right.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
That means that they know who you are, and that's got to be half the battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool. Did you get to you just hang out from 1 o'clock until the show, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's you sit in catering. Now I've heard stories years ago how you're kind of walking on eggshells as an extra. And honestly, like I didn't know a whole lot of people there. WWE's landscape has changed quite a bit the last few years. So really, I mean, it's not like I had like a lot of friends there. It's not like anybody there really knew who I was. A couple people, came up and, hey, we're glad to see you here, whatever. But it was pretty laid back. I would love to do it again.
Sure.
So
awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's cool, man.
Nice. All right, man. So let's jump into Dreamwave, man. Let's what I want to do is we just talked about before the podcast here, Dreamwave, since the return, we just counting the new Uprising women's athlete shows. We just did our 20th show just a couple weeks ago, and so since that show has returned, let me kind of catch up on what has happened with Hartenbower to get him kind of where he is. So when Dream made the big return, Hartenbower was in, I believe it was a 4-way match. It was you, Marche, Vic
I can
Capri.
probably tell you all of these myself, too.
Can you? All right. Well, fire, dude. Go for it.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's check
okay.
it.
All right. So it was a 6-way.
Yep.
It was a scramble with Marche, Acid, Vic Capri, Christian Rose, and Brubaker.
Yep.
And then the second show back would have been myself against Fowler.
Yep. And you got arrested.
I did. I got arrested. On my record forever. The third show back would have been the Good as Gold Rumble. Is that right?
Yep.
The fourth show back would have been me and Manders.
Yep.
Fifth show back would have been me and Mike Bennett against Manders and Mance Warner.
You on a roll?
Yeah, I'm on a roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it would have been this timeline is going to sound really weird. You'd be like, wait, how did we get from this to that?
Sure.
I'm going to guess myself and Colt Cabana versus the 4-Star Heroes.
Yep. You got a little tag team there somehow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at myself versus Brian Keefe.
That's right.
Me versus Connor Hopkins.
Yep.
That was a double shot back to back there.
Yep.
Then we've got the first ever in the history of the business handicap blindfold match. I was blindfolded, facing two guys who weren't blindfolded. No rules, no disqualifications. Myself against the Coyotes, right?
Yeah, Berna and Damien. Yeah.
That might be the best 5-minute match of all time. I'm telling you. And then me versus Rose at Good as Gold 2023.
Yep. Roughly a year ago.
Yeah, just over a year ago. And then Trevor Outlaw was running his mouth about LaSalle, so I had to whoop his ass.
Yep.
In February of this year.
Yeah.
Then myself versus Manders number 2.
Second time. Yep.
Camaro Jackson in June. And Warhorse in August.
Warhorse, and then
Damn,
wow, look at that.
Then the injury, dude. Look at you.
For somebody that gets paid to get knocked in the head, you got a good memory.
Yeah, there's gonna be people that are like, Hartenbower always says he has a bad memory.
Dude,
yeah.
I'm pissed off. I did so much research now to put that together, and you just no. I'm kidding. That was great, dude.
Yeah, I'm my own biggest fan.
Right.
You know, I gotta be. That's
awesome.
That's another thing I tell people too. Is like, if you don't believe in yourself and if you don't support yourself, how can you expect anybody in the crowd or anybody on social media or anybody like, you know, how do you expect them to?
Right.
You know, so.
Right.
Yeah. I gotta be my own.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And then so, I want to talk about this too before we go on. There was a change too after the Rose match. You know, your persona kind of changed. You know, it was, Rose beat you, what do they call it? It buried you in effigy, like with the whole, so there was a big change there, so you come back and, the lights go out, you're dead serious in a hoodie. You haven't spoken, I don't think, since. It's no bullshit, no nonsense. It's kick ass. It's, it's like you're literally getting paid to whoop ass as fast as you can. Johnny Cash is talking you to singing you to the ring. Yeah. Talk about that.
That's still like, this isn't kayfabe. This isn't real, fake, whatever. This is at the end of the day. I still have that unfinished business. It's Dreamwave Championship. You know what I mean? That's at the end of the day. I'm not gonna sit here. I have friends in the business that we want to get to WWE. We want to get to AEW, or I want to wrestle in Japan, or I want to main event this or main event that. I want to win the Dreamwave Championship.
Yeah, man.
And I had that taken from me.
Mm-hmm.
That's, so, this is honestly the first time that I've even talked about that.
Sure.
So, I'm coming back for that.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. So, quickly though, give me your feeling, man, because, you're, the handfuls of OGs, from Dreamwave in the beginning. I was a fan probably, once I moved here and figured it out and found out about it, 10 shows, up until the end, somewhere around in there that I saw before the ending, and then, and then now the return. And, so tell me the feeling of like what it feels like then versus what it feels like now.
Yeah, like you said, I'm one of a handful of people. Excuse me. And when you say handful, if you look at the card from 2 weeks ago, and not including the Good as Gold Rumble.
Sure.
And that's not to knock on anybody. I can't even specifically think. I know like Acid was in that. but I think that was his first appearance since that first show back. I could be wrong on that.
No, I think you're right.
But I'm probably not. I mean,
You're right. No, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
let's just be honest.
That thing's a steel trap, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you've got myself, you've got Vic Capri, you've got Christian Rose. Who else?
Eric.
Yeah, Cannon.
Yeah, Cannon. Originals.
I can't think of anybody.
Right.
That's and I mean that's not a knock on anybody. Some people are still wrestling, some people aren't. In the first, we've been back now 2.5 years.
Yep.
So some of those people came along for the first year or so, but so really, I think about that. You're looking at me, Capri, Rose, Cannon. I hope I'm not missing anybody in there.
Right. Yeah.
I can't really think of anybody. I really can't.
Of the originals, you're right there.
Yeah, I mean that, and really, when we say originals,
Bonts and Jay, maybe that's the two we're thinking. You're getting left out.
Yeah, they'd probably be like, "Oh, excuse us."
Yeah, excuse me.
But I mean, like, I wouldn't even have considered myself. I'm just left over from the first, part of Dreamwave.
Sure.
Because that's 2009.
Yeah.
10, 11, 12. I mean, I was in the crowd in 2011. Bought tickets. I have those ticket stubs too.
That's great.
I have some cool stuff actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't really come around until like 2012. I didn't. I wasn't. I had a long tag title run with Whalen as Spears and Beers.
Yep.
But I mean, you wouldn't, now I guess maybe now at this point you'd have to put me on some Dreamwave Mount Rushmore. But
you do come with the building, man. It's in
the
LaSalle law, dude.
At this point,
there's a piece of paper in LaSalle law that's locked up in a vault somewhere that says any wrestling event that happens at the Knights of Columbus building, Hartenbower has to be on the card.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Actually, I mean, that really kind of just opened up my mind there. I'm sorry, I'm not like speechless, but I'm also kind of, I mean, there's really only 4 of us left from that last run.
Right.
So it's, I guess that kind of explains why I take it, so seriously. And I guess kind of by default there, I guess, I feel a responsibility to the locker room, to the town, to the building, to Jay, to the fan base, to continue the legacy. And I've seen both, both runs, and it's pretty special.
Right. And I mean, there's some younger hometown kids, but you know, there had to be the hometown kid in wrestling and Dreamwave, and you're still it.
Yeah.
So there's always, still going to be that. So, but I'm excited to see you come back, brother. Like, I know this is going to, we're going to look back at this way back and go, man, like, it was, it's going to do a lot for you in your career. Let me plug before you can move on. February the 8th is the next Dreamwave show. It's called Famous Last Words. Of course, the LaSalle faithful and everybody that drives in and comes out has blessed us with another super fast selling out. I think Jay said the second fastest in history. And Primo, the only show that's sold out faster than this was one that had Bret Hart on it. So
damn.
Yeah. So this is and it's amazing, man. It's awesome. What a cool ride like we're going on with like this, second with lack of a better term, the second wave of Dreamwave, coming around, like how like successful it is right now. And,
it's
it's
insane.
awesome.
And it's something that, those of us that are kind of in that inner circle, we don't take for granted. Cause that could end at any time. So, but it's also the work that goes into it. If people only knew, it's not just from show day 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh yeah.
That work, I don't even want to say the work for February 8th began at 9:01 p.m. after Good as Gold. It began months and months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, to me, it's not a surprise. I know there's some people that are like, how the hell does Dreamwave keep selling out? And it's like, because the work is being put in the other 58 days in between shows.
Right.
It's, so to me, it's not a surprise. I know, this is, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm giving Jay credit. Jay has, now he has 2 wrestling companies, but he has a job.
Mm-hmm.
He has a family. He has a life. But he puts in the work, and he has a good team around him. But you know what I mean? Other wrestling companies that, they have, jobs and families and, whatever else in life too. But
Sure.
To see the success that Dreamwave has, show after show, to me, it's not a surprise. But we also know that we have to keep our foot, on the gas.
For sure. Yeah, man. I'm excited, man, because this, it just feels like, it's such a big ride right now. And to have a show on Saturday and, and like coming off of that and the feelings and emotions, stuff you get of that. And then, tickets go on sale Monday. And then to know that the fans are excited is, to sell that place out again. It's like, it's awesome, so yeah, it's really great, man. Yeah, but I was gonna say thank you before we move on, man. I was gonna say thank you for coming on, talking about your injury and everything's been going on with you. Everybody in the world is excited to see you back, and we're definitely all looking forward to it for sure, man. So thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, before we let's get on to Saturday night's main events. Before we do, let's hear a little word from little Brooks Berna.
So this is Brooks Berna representing those damn Coyotes. Sitting here with the Sit Down Marks boys, DB, Primo, and AJ.
All right, we're going to talk a little Saturday night's main event. We got Hartenbower here with us today. I want to thank everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube and everybody listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and all those podcast platforms out there. So we're going to briefly go over what happened at Saturday night's main event, man. I was excited for it. It was a good show. But before we start, Hartenbower, man, like what's your like early memories of, when somebody says Saturday night's main event, like, what's the vibe you feel? Like, what do you remember? Like what comes to mind?
So a lot of my viewing of Saturday night's main event, because I don't remember the exact original air dates of the show. So I don't quite remember I don't have this memory of being oh, Saturday at 6 o'clock. I was like, oh my God. Or I'm so, it was probably, I believe it was later.
Yeah.
But, I don't have that memory, but I've watched a ton of it on the network and on YouTube and everything. But to me, it's just the nostalgia of hearing Jesse Ventura, because we've all heard that.
Right.
It is. Nostalgia is the main word that comes to mind.
Yeah. So it was super cool, man. So to talk about it, man, Long Island, New York, Nassau Coliseum, big tons of wrestling has happened in this venue, man. Just a relic basically for wrestling in that area. Jesse the Body Ventura is back. He's back with the Kango, back with the 10 boas. shitting on the baby faces like we used to love him, seeing him do, man. And like, it just felt right, man. It just felt like, and they, the music's playing, the old, music. Cause, I remember, the old days, Big John Studd and Macho Man, on Saturday nights and having nightmares because I seen Jake the Snake before I went to sleep and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I thought they did a very good job of making this as retro as possible. They had the old logo entrance, the slim walkways where the fans could like really touch the wrestlers as they were going to the rings, stuff like that. So
yeah, you're seeing like actual guardrails. Wow, it's crazy to see actual guardrails at a WWE show.
I know, man. I know. Yeah, it was just really cool, man. And like. And they do a good job with the camera work on here because it was always like you could see all the fans going crazy in the background. They got the the music's playing and stuff, but yeah, I was impressed with this, man. I loved it. Your boy Pat McAfee came back, Primo. Did you like that that they brought him back? I guess football season's over, so it's time for him to come back, right?
Yeah. College game days pretty much coming to an end. You got the playoffs coming up, but yeah, I mean, I didn't mind seeing him back. I will say, as far as the retro feel goes, I thought it was great overall. The vintage, feel they were giving off. I think it would have been cool though if they, when they go to like an interview or something backstage, if they would have had like the slide away transitions. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The old school TV transitions where the colors and stuff. That would have been pretty neat. But other than that, no, everything looked great. And Pat McAfee being back, I mean, him and Michael Cole vibe off each other pretty good. So overall, yeah, I was cool with it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. So they plugged the shit out of Netflix, going January 6th. I could hear that in my, like just brain just constantly, because and you could tell too, like the difference because throughout the show they were talking about a lot of the storylines that were going on. They were talking about they were explaining the moves, why this is called their finisher, so you can tell they were trying to talk to a lot of the non-casuals. So because they really think that NBC brings that.
Yeah, and you're talking super casuals because
right.
I mean, there were people. I was reading comments from people saying, "This is still a thing. We haven't watched wrestling in 30 years." I'm like, "What do you mean it's still a thing? Like what? Like it's not like it's not on like USA and Fox and
right.
Major networks.
Major networks. Like, what are we talking about? I mean, I can't go like I'll be at the gym and I'll see commercials for like wrestling. We're like Planet Fitness always has what channel is it that has like the biography A&E.
A&E. Yeah.
Like there's always wrestling on. There's commercials, whatever. But I saw a lot of people that, I mean, them doing the NBC thing was, and I think they're doing 3 or 4 more. They're doing 3 or 4 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just genius.
Yeah, and I like this too, man, because like I'm old enough to have watched this like Saturday night with my dad, and you know what I mean. It was like so like back then we watched WCW Saturday night, World Championship Wrestling. That was like during that like late '80s, era, during the time we'd watch that one a lot. And then so a lot of times when we seen WWF on TV, then it was Saturday night's main event because wasn't a whole lot of that on down south where I grew up. So
yeah, I actually heard something recently that I've never really given a whole lot of thought to. I've just watched wrestling my whole life without even thinking about it. But professional wrestling is one of the few forms of entertaining people that has really stood the test of time, like long time. It's had its ups and downs, but you're talking way long time ago it began. So, and it's still around today, and we're currently in a big wrestling peak. So,
right, yeah. All right, let's jump through the matches here real quick. So they started off with Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn. I thought this was good. Hot start from the beginning. They basically didn't let up. until Drew does a little switcheroo with the referee getting out of the ring with the Claymore. Crowd's loving it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great crowd tonight. Like, you can tell they were fired up. And another thing too is like right after this match, they showed like Tito Santana in the crowd, Jimmy Hart, Greg the Hammer. Yeah, Coco Beware, Greg the Hammer. Yeah, yes, all that stuff. So you like Drew and Sammy, Mike? Anybody like you prefer to watch their style in WWE?
Yeah, no, I love both of those guys. And I mean, yeah, I enjoyed the match. I read a lot of stuff online. People saying that they didn't think there was going to be a finish, or they thought I don't know what it was, but I'm like, I mean, I don't follow like the WWE product like that. Like,
sure,
like,
yeah. So
they should have done this, or they should have done that. It's nice to just be able to watch it and enjoy it, and not worry about their booking decisions or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I could watch Drew and Sammy all day long.
Yeah, no, I mean, they do, they're great. I think a lot of people thought that there was going to be some kind of smodgy type thing going on to kind of keep the story going. Obviously Drew is the one that ended up winning, but as we find out later in another day, on Monday, the story continues. But this is on Drew's path to continue beating down people that support their OG bloodline.
Right.
Yep. Next match was Liv versus Io Sky. This is for Liv's Women's World Championship. I think the main thing everybody took out of this was the nasty boot that Liv kind of took to the face during this.
Yeah,
from her that kind of popped her back pretty good. But she ended up retaining by Oblivion, and then she had that little face off with Rhea, there at the end after that. But what's your thoughts on Rhea, Hartenbower? Like, man,
that's a legitimate star.
Exactly.
I mean, just the presence. I mean, the presentation itself of her. I mean, I enjoyed both. Not to jump ahead here, but I enjoyed both women's segments in matches.
Yeah.
Are really, I mean, the days. I think the days of, the girls not getting time. I think that's over because they've proved, time and time again that, they can go.
Right.
Sometimes better. A lot of times better than the guys, and both of those matches proved it.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that too, because the other women's match was Meechin versus Chelsea Green for the first ever United States Women's Championship. I was happy too because, well, first of all, Meechin getting a little love, man. Mia Yim from the old days. She beat Tiffany to get in this match, so. But I was thinking Chelsea too, and this makes sense. She wins by the unprettier. She's got like this little underground swell going right now for her. Everybody's kind of like, I mean, she's hilarious, man. She just does her job, man. And
dude, she is so good. She's so funny,
good, right? Yeah. So that was cool to see her, get some love, and and you remember when she kicked ass in TNA remember when she had like the smeared makeup roll?
Yeah.
And,
all four of the women that, were on the card, they were all awesome. I mean, every one of them, Liv, Io, Meechin, and Chelsea. What's funny about the Chelsea Green thing? I actually saw something today. I haven't really fact checked this. So if I'm wrong out there, internet world, don't come at me. But I saw this today. Somebody posted that when Chelsea Green was on Tough Enough, one of the first scenes you see her in, she's walking past a U.S. championship. And then it shows her in another scene, like in that first episode, she's in front of an old school Saturday Night's Main Event poster.
Wow.
So Long storm.
I'm gonna pull a Dwayne here.
Long-term
Still, to think about
storytelling.
that, that's so
I know,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
So
man.
cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. Yeah, I was happy for her, man. She deserves like a big accolade like that.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause she's been at it for a while.
Yeah.
Been everywhere. Just like I've never really like heard like any like drama or like anything like that. I've just always heard good things. I've never met her. I don't think.
Mhm.
I've just always heard good things. So it's cool to see her, get that, earn that.
Yeah,
and another note about her specifically in this match, her ring gear. She was rocking the pants like how her husband used to do back in the day.
Had her it was her picture all over it. Is that what it was?
Yeah, but it was he used to do the one full leg and then the one.
Right. Yeah. One half. Yeah. When he was broski. Yeah, I was doing broski. That's nice. So world heavyweight championship match was Gunther the champ versus Damian Priest versus Finn. Triple threat. Gunther wins by powerbomb on Finn. Solid match here for these three. I think they're still, bringing Gunther back up. I like this. I liked Ventura being on commentary for it. This was a nice touch. Hartenbower, what do you think a chop from Gunther feels like?
I would love to find out one day.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt, right?
I imagine he literally reaches through your chest to your ancestors.
Yeah.
So like,
oh man, no doubt.
I love
it. All right, so let's talk about main event, boys. So KO versus Cody, obviously for the Undisputed Championship. They do a real cool backstory video for the story for, like we said, for everybody. And then Cody comes out, winged eagle belt, man. It was a speculation, big thing, but man, did that thing look pretty again, man? Did that look good, right? Like it looked extra shiny.
Yeah, it was cool. They teased it on social media and everything, and I mean, it's one of those things. It's like it's coming, but you see it. It just goes back to the nostalgia of just you got the old logos, you got the old belt, you got the music, you've got Jesse Ventura, you've got some of the legends there, and then to see that belt, but also you got to bring it back, right?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
So Michael Cole said this the winged eagle belt came about. Hulk Hogan had it first in February of 1988, and it stayed in WWE all the way till 1998 when Stone Cold had it, and then that's when he got rid of. And then I think it was the Smoking Skull is what come out. I think after that, maybe. But yeah, so it's about a 10-year-old belt, but I mean, it's so many people's favorite belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it was a nice touch. Good on WWE for bringing it out, like Cody wear it.
Yeah, and this is something I might be wrong on this, but it just goes like when action figures and the marketing and toys and all of that started to become popular, in the very late 80s, 90s. That's probably one of the first belts that they made replica belts of, right?
Yeah. I would imagine. Yeah.
So I mean, that's something that a lot of people hold synonymous with their childhood, and it was in video games and all of that stuff. So I mean, it's to me, I agree with that sentiment that it's just that's the one that you think of.
Right.
Fun fact about Cody too, by the way. Now he brought back this winged eagle belt at Saturday Night's Main Event, but also he was the one. I don't know. It might have been 10 years ago. He brought back the classic IC belt.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Cody's had even if I mean, obviously his WWE run here has been just incredible, and he's earned all of that, but. He's had a pretty cool career otherwise. Yeah.
It's so funny how far he's come from, man, because whenever it's Rumble season, like I go back and watch old Rumbles. Like I watched like 2008 the other day. Mm-hmm. I was at 2012. I watched that one and just see him, he was, just still dashing and, whatever, that kind of stuff. It's like, wow, that's our champ now. Like, holy cow. But it's great, man. Great because wrestling, right? Like it's awesome, man. It's fantastic. So, so we've been working up to this big main event, for Saturday night's main event. And so, I mean, knockdown, drag down fight, basically two, to kind of sum it all up, 2 ref bumps, a chair was used, but, it really kind of came down to the finish because the chair came into the ring and they played to the story of going back to when Kevin KO could have used the belt on Cody to win the match and did not. And so when the chair got involved, Cody kind of he sets KO up for the crossroads, kind of stops for a second, sees the chair, and then this is the point where KO would have stopped last time. Well, Cody went and done it anyway, so it's kind of like a small little heel tactic for
good touch,
yeah, a nice touch. So, but I thought this was a good main event. You end on some good storyline shit. And Cody still wins on Saturday night's main event. So I mean, yeah, I thought this was done well. What'd you think?
So I do have a question though. I can't. I guess yeah. So when's the last time? Because personally, I can't remember. If ever, but when's the last time you guys saw a ref count from the outside of the ropes?
Yeah, that visual looked a little weird.
It did.
Yeah, I mean
Charles Robinson too. It was like but the camera followed him. To go up to.
I mean, maybe he just his timing was off.
I just don't think it's just really ever been seen before, so I feel like that's why we're talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
Strange, because I mean, at the end of the day, like exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just looked weird, presentation and visually. From that standpoint, 100%.
Yeah, I like this too. So, but man, I thought this was a good show. This 2 hours went by fast. Around here, Mike, the rating system is smelling mark. So we smell and mark it between 1 and 10. I'm gonna go this is super entertaining, man. I like about an 8 for me on this one. What about you?
Like the show overall?
Yeah, the whole show period. Yeah,
I loved it. I think a lot of people expected maybe more surprises, maybe more. I don't know if like people were expecting like a return or anything like that. But I loved it. 2 hours I think is like a perfect TV wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. It was an easy watch for me. So I mean, to me, I'm gonna give it a 10.
Yeah, it's great. It was great. Yeah, and too, like I think they're saving surprises for like Netflix. Going to blow that one out of the water, man.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. So that was good stuff. Primo, what'd you think?
Yeah. So overall, my immediate reaction was like B-, and it was because of that exact thing. I expected. I thought the finish. I don't know if it was just me or at the time, I felt it kind of just came up on me, but anyway, and also of the main event, by the way, and then also I kind of thought Randy was going to run in Randy Orton in the main event. I guess, like you said, they probably are waiting on that, but also my rating goes up to a B+ now because of what happened after Saturday night's main event. The attack on Cody Rhodes by Kevin Owens. He spikes him. Cody goes numb. They say that he has, at the time, cervical strain. He was kept overnight for observation, and then they're saying he has a compression of his spinal cord and spasms. So, I mean, obviously, they're building this up. Kevin isn't done with it. Also, Kevin Owens did something that hasn't been done in a little bit. It's nice to see some stuff happen every now and then that doesn't always happen, which he stole the belt. So
right. Yeah.
So all that makes it, I take it back up to an 8 personally.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Look forward to watching these. They're great, man. They're gonna be on national TV. So most time, I like watch this probably with my kids. So I'm happy about that. So, all right, good stuff there, boys. But all right, guys, before we go home, man, let's hear a word from SportzWire Radio. Be right back.
Looking for all the latest happenings in the world of sports and wrestling? Well, you're in luck because SportsWire Radio has you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With great shows in the world of sports, such as the Pinstripe Chronicles, hosted by Uncle Tats, Donald Stewart, and Rob Barrows. New York Baseball Talk with Chris Bazaya and Rob Maraska. The Liftoff Jets, also hosted by Chris Bazaya and Sharman Phillip. Neil Villapiano and the Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dillon's Hockey Fan Chat. In the world of wrestling, SportsWire Radio has you covered with Squared Circle Radio, featuring Chris Belcher, Andy York, and Jared Justice. Those sit-down marks with DB, Primo, AJ, and Michael. A work in progress, featuring the Mayor of Canton, Piles, and Glenn Abbott. You can catch all of these great shows and more anytime, anywhere, and any place via the Listen Live button on SportsWireRadio.org, and you can also catch SportsWire Radio anytime on YouTube at SportsWire Radio 6579 to catch all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling. SportsWire Radio has you covered. It's all sports matters and all wrestling matters here on SportsWire Radio. I am your host, the owner of SportsWire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the owner of the Promo Wrestling Federation, and one of the owners of the Pride Wrestling Federation. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce.
All right. We want to thank all of our friends listening on SportsWireRadio.org. We want to thank everybody listening also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all those podcast platforms out there. Thank you for speaking right.
Words are hard sometimes.
Yeah, they are. All right. Before we go home, man, I want to plug once again Dreamwave, February the 8th, live on IWTV. I want to encourage you to go check out the archives on Independent Wrestling .tv. And so, but a couple of notes here before we go home, boys. They did announce CM Punk versus Rollins on the very first Netflix. Now, on top of probably what we're getting to on surprises, that's a pretty sick match to look forward to. So not bad.
Yeah. So all right, bear with me here. So they did announce this last night at Monday Night Raw that CM Punk is going to be facing off against Seth freaking Rollins on January 6th at the Raw premiere on Netflix. I think personally it's a little too rushed, too quick, because in my mind, this is a WrestleMania match. Mm-hmm. Also, they were just talking about, like, last week, even part of this week, they were talking about how Seth Rollins asked CM Punk to help train him back in the day. And, CM Punk ghosted him when he left 10 years ago. They have so much content that they can build on between each other as far as promos, stuff they can call back to, even their own personal video stuff probably. They could even reference. Here's what allow me to fantasy book for a moment. So we get to Raw, Netflix premiere. Let's say Seth Rollins attacks Punk before the match, and the match never happens on that Monday. Now we have to push the match off. Now we have to build that match up to WrestleMania. We have approximately from January to the end of March, the beginning of April. Mm-hmm. So you have a couple months there where they can actually build this match up. And let's say, I think a great way to build this up would be a la Triple H and Stone Cold with a no contact clause. So, keep these guys where they actually, because they've been brawling every week. Right. So keep these guys where they can't touch, but they exchange words and everything else and build this feud up until they can finally clash at WrestleMania. That'll be great and well worth the wait.
Yeah. I agree. I like that. That's not bad.
Yeah, I can't see him giving us too much on that, in that first match. Whatever they do, sure. I don't think you're going to see a 25-minute Mania match right there. I think there's going to be enough there. And normally that would be a case where you're going to have fans complaining and, oh, they advertised this and they gave us this. But I think you're going to have enough on that first episode on Netflix that, that you understand. And I'm sure they'll I think they will end up stretching that out to Mania. I think that's probably what they'll end up doing.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, we'll let everybody know this is going to be our last podcast of the year. We're going to take the next couple of weeks off to finish off 2024, but I want to let you guys know we'll be back in January. We're going to talk about the state of wrestling, and I also want to let you know that I'm going to be sitting down with the next guest on the pod is in about middle January. I'm actually bringing on two guys that Hartenbower is very familiar with. They probably live right up the street from him. These guys, 12 Gauge and Hunter Holdcraft, the hype. They are the current Dreamwave Tag Team Champions. We're going to be sitting down with them in January and talking all kind of wrestling with those guys. So Hartenbower, man, I want to thank you for coming on the pod today, man, and talking to us. I know you got that Pro Wrestling Tees store, man. You plug that, and maybe let us know anywhere we can see you in early 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. ProWrestlingTees.com/Hartenbower. I've got all my classic designs on there. Got some new stuff in the works coming probably spring of 2025. And then for right now, let's just say to look for me at, I don't really know where to say to look for me because
Sure.
I mean, most of the time I'm backstage or, that's about where you can catch me right now. I have some bookings, but I kind of want to keep some stuff close to the chest there. And, you can find me on all social media, Instagram, X, Facebook. I've spent a lot of time the last couple months building my YouTube channel. I've got some matches and stuff on there too.
What's that channel? What's that channel link, if you don't mind?
It's at Hartenbower Power Hour.
Perfect.
There you go. Yeah, man. So what's the Christmas plans, brother? It's coming up here in about a week.
We're going to drink some ultras and watch some football. And
there you go.
That's about it.
Nice, man. Nice, man. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible. And we also want to give a special thanks, man, because the pod did really good this year. We had a lot of tremendous growth. And we want to thank the new listeners and everybody out there. And thanks for telling friends about us. And we appreciate it and look forward to 2025. And definitely want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube and Facebook as well. So, all right, guys. Well, looks like that's going to do it, Primo. Merry Christmas to you guys. Thank you, Hartenbower. Thanks for being on the pod, man. And thanks for all you do for wrestling, man. And
thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for entertaining us, man. Really do appreciate it. And Primo, thanks for your contributions on the podcast, obviously, this year. Hope you guys both have a wonderful Christmas, and look forward to talking to you guys next year. So, all right, for Primo and Hartenbower, I am DB. We are Top Guys, and we are out.